Liverpool 4, Accrington, Stanley 0. Job done, job easily done. Really top class, high quality performance that was by a team that was a bit of a mismatch of players coming back, players needing minutes, and a few youngsters as well. So 4 goals, Jota, Trent, Jaden Danns and Federico Chiesa, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit. It was utterly dominant, as expected. You know, this is a team in the 4th tier of English football who are actually struggling for survival in that division as well. Hats off to them. They did give it a go. They hit the bar. Scouse lad hit the bar. Shame for him that never went in, I suppose. They had one header that they actually should have scored from, that they put over the bar as well. But other than that, it was utter dominance. 79% possession for the Reds, 22 shots, 9 on target. And I thought this was quite interesting for a team that was a sort of patchwork team. We had an 89% pass accuracy, so no injuries. I was worried about Harvey Elliott there for a minute, but he came back on, so he looks to be okay. And Mo, Virgil, Robertson, Gravenberch, Alisson, Gakpo, Diaz, Konate, all given the day off. We had players like Jota, Elliott, Nunez, Kelleher, Kwanzaa, Bradley, Costas and Szoboszlai, who all played a part in the game. Just shows you the strength of depth, doesn't it? I haven't even mentioned the youngsters yet. Another really good thing about today was, I've said this many times, we do tend to get complacent against the smaller teams, and we didn't do that today. There was a 5-minute spell where Accrington actually had to go, and it was right after Arnie had rung the changes. So I think that was more to do with trying to get used to the changes that had been made rather than any type of complacency. So that's really enough about the game itself. But I want to talk more about certain individuals. The first one has to be Ngumoha. I think I've got that right. Our youngest ever FA Cup debutant at 16 years and 135 days. And he came from Chelsea. I suppose this is one of the benefits of Chelsea's model, is they've got all these players and they don't know what to do with them all, so they've got to let some of them go, and we snapped them up from Chelsea, and he was excellent. 16 and a half. he was oozing with confidence. He had flair. He was unpredictable with the ball. Tried the odd thing too much a couple of times, but why not? It's your debut for Liverpool at Anfield. He had an almost 90% pass rate, which is really quite phenomenal. And he played 70 minutes. Big faith shown in him by the manager, who had loads of other players he could have picked before him, but he didn't. So well in, kidder. Very proud of that performance, and it looks like you got a bright future. Keep it going. The one enigma that we've had this season has been the lesser spotted Federico Chiesa. I'd almost convinced myself that he came, nothing happened, and he left. He was back today. To be honest, even that, I was like, we've left all of our first teamers out. He can't get a start. But he was on the bench and he came on in the second half and he was absolutely superb. He was brilliant. I was a bit gobsmacked by how good he was. He was dynamic, he was creative, he was really clever in his running, in his finding space. His ability to find space was something else. He just seems to have this knack of getting in the pockets, and when he gets the ball, he does things with it. He had 6 shots. He hit the post, and the goal he scored, he gets it 30 yards out. He lines it up, he takes a touch, and then he just fizzes it into the bottom corner. We don't get many finishers like that from outside the box. It was excellent. He also, for Jaden Danns' goal, he was the one that broke through, forced the save from the keeper. It spilled to Danns, and Danns buried it. He was a consistent threat. I was really pleasantly surprised as well by the pace he seemed to have. Don't forget, this player hasn't played all season. He hasn't played for a long time. Yeah, you can always say it was only Accrington Stanley, but you've got to look at the technique, the positions that he took up, and the cleverness of his runs, which were all there. And he was a goal threat and an assist threat in that second half. So from thinking before the game that he's likely to be gone in the next few weeks, I really hope he stays, because he can really give us an option there. If he can produce that form, then he can come on and he can be the potential solution for giving Mo Salah some time off, which he's obviously going to need over the next few months. The other thing, he wasn't scared to take his man on, and he was physical as well. So overall, it was an absolutely top class performance. Very, very excited I was by that performance. On to the third one, Jaden Danns. He's been out for months. He only came on in the 72nd minute. It felt like he was on for the whole half or longer because he made so much happen. The goal was an absolute piece of class. And I'm not just talking about the finish. He wins the ball in midfield. So he shows the tenacity. Then he shows brilliant technical skill and balance and poise to skip past the defender. Then he finds the right pass. And then he's got that striker's anticipation of getting in there. And of course, when the ball spills, it spills right to him. And what is the characteristic of every great striker? It's been in the right place at the right time. And it's no coincidence. It came right to him and he smashes it home. I think that's his third goal now in the FA Cup. And it was his first in front of the Kop. The thing about him, and I'm going to have to compare him to Darwin Núñez, he looks like a natural striker. He looks like a natural finisher. He looks like a striker who knows where to run, when to use his body to shield the ball, when to drive forwards, his anticipation and his finishing ability as well. You compare that to the performance of Darwin Núñez today, who had a couple of really good chances early on, snatched at both of them, didn't come close to finishing them, and he was very peripheral in the game. Again, he's now got 1 goal in his last 12 games. In today's game, of all the outfield players for Liverpool that started, he had the least number of touches in the game against Accrington Stanley. I did a video the other day where I talked about the firepower Liverpool have, and I talked about the quartet that we have, and that quartet did not include Darwin Núñez, sadly, because I've always wanted them to succeed. But we may have a fifth option in Jaden Danns, because right now, if we're 15 minutes from the end of a game and we need someone off the bench to come on and potentially be a game changer, I'm going to pick Jaden Danns over Darwin Núñez, and that says a lot about the kid, and a young Scouse lad as well. So brilliant. Again, Jaden Danns, well in, lad. So they're the 3 biggies I wanted to mention. There's 3 other players I want to just briefly mention because of what they did today and what they've been doing all season, really. Trent. After the Man U game, he needed to come back strong, and he's come back strong. He was really, really good in the last game, and he was excellent today, and he scored a cracking goal. And yet again, you can say it was only Accrington Stanley, but it was his attitude. It was the look in his eyes versus the look in his eyes in the Man United game. It was the body language today. He looked the part. As is typical with the Liverpool crowd, they urged him on. They put their collective arm around him and said, "Come on, Trent, you're one of us, lad. Whether you're going or not, you're one of us at the moment, so give it your all." And he did, and he was great. The second one, I keep running out of superlatives for him, but Endo. Once again, he was put into central defence, this time along Kwanzaa, and nothing phases that lad at all. It doesn't matter where you put him. He bullied the Accrington Stanley forwards. He's no nonsense. He doesn't care if he's playing against Real Madrid or he's playing against Accrington. He's hitting them. His positional play, his ability to read the game was all on show again today. They did have a few breaks, but Endo was always there. He was superb. And another one who, I'm not saying Arne Slot needs to play him more. He certainly does in these type of games. In the big games, he's not going to displace Gravenberch in that role, but he's got to be on the bench at all times because he is such a utility player to either go into that midfield or now go into central defence as well. He was superb. And another unsung hero, I think, so far this season, Kostas Tsimikas. Another excellent display, and that's been typical of him all season. Written off by many fans in the past. Lots of people wanted to see him out the door in the last pre-season. Well, he's been another one who has come in for Andy Robertson. He played great today. He was up and down that left wing. He put in some cracking crosses. His crossing was a feature of the game as well. So again, You know, you've got to give credit, you've got to call people out when they're sometimes a bit overlooked versus the superstars of the team. But he was excellent again, and he's another one that could be absolutely critical to the last 4 months of the season. That's it for the game. On to Forest on Tuesday. All of our typical starters are going to be fresh. I think we can assume Jota's not going to start, seeing as he played the whole game today. Who will start at right back? Forest are going to be just as fresh because they left all their starters out as well today. They actually won 2-0 at home to Luton, so they're on I think it's a 7-game winning run at the moment. If you watched my video the other day about Forest and their stats, well, guess what? Today they're at home to Luton, who were close to the bottom of the championship, and he still only had 45% possession, and he won 2-0, and he still only had 3 shots on target. So we know exactly what to expect. They are going to sit back and they are going to hit us on the break, and that is going to be their entire game plan. We're going to have 65-70% of possession, and we've got to make the most of it. This is a pivotal game. We win this, it's going to be really emotionally damaging to everybody else trying to chase us down. If we drop points, it's going to give them a bit of encouragement. So let's go out there, lads. It's Nottingham Forest, who have very little possession. We know what they're going to do. Let's set up to make sure that we don't allow them to do it, and let's go and beat them. Let's put Forest in our rearview mirror, and let's get 3 more points towards this title. All right, all the very best. See you after that critical Forest game. You'll never walk alone.